Their captain tonight, John Smith, playing his 34th consecutive test match, so he's only 5 behind Gary Teichmann for the most number of consecutive tests for South Africans.
And that'll be a response, those guys holding things up after waltzing Matilda. They'll just be a couple of delaying tactics. I did notice, Clarkie, in there a few of them carrying chamois, tucking them into their socks and their shorts, make sure they keep their hands dry.
Steve Walsh running the touch line along with Lyndon Bray. Gary Wise is our television match official, and Paul Honus, the referee from New Zealand, breaks the New Zealand record. He becomes the most capped referee from the Shaky Isles, his 38th test, one more than Paddy O'Brien. Joe van Niekerk and Guy Shepherdson looking on. Tri-Nations 2 is underway at Suncorp Stadium. Tuqiri, waiting an eternity, finally arrives. And he takes a tackle there of big Victor Matfield. Inside the Australian 22, and Larkham has to hurry the kick. And a Will Fine touch over in the far side.
Contrary to what I suggested before the game, I think the Australians will only try to put it out from their 22. They'll kick, but not for touch anywhere else on the field. They don't want to give the South Africans any opportunities because they believe every line out, this is from the Australian coaching staff, they'll look to roll it. This one over the back.
And 6 has it. Joe van Niekerk.
Off goal, play on.
Lost it. Picked up brilliantly by Paul. Now Rocky Elsom, he's got Gregan on the outside, but he's flirting with the touchline. He gives it to Tuqiri. Tuqiri throws it back into Gregan, his favour, and now George Smith inside Springboks territory. Positive stuff from the Wallabies. Gregan, now Larkham.
South Africa a mile offside.
Lost forward advantage, Green.
Well, he didn't see it, Phil, and he's playing advantage here for that knock on. And now Latham back inside his own 22, claimed immediately by Hardman.
Tragic for the Wallabies. No payoff for all the great work that they did to get in that position.
And Gregan. Oops. We'll come back, though. He's got them for offside that time, Phil.
The offside line before the ball was out.
Yeah, they were way across it. I mean, it is deceiving because they do come up very, very quickly. But I think clearly on both occasions offside.
We'll end up trying to call it ourselves as Van and Olivier. You'll see lots of him playing at inside centre tonight for the South Africans, but it will be deceptive because they come off the line so fast. You'll think they're offside when often they're not. Oh, that is a huge kick. Maybe not out. Maybe it is.
Great kick, Chris Latham. 64th test match tonight for the 30-year-old.
That's a good sign. When he starts with kicks like that, he has outstanding evenings.
Well, you can see how slippery the ball is. Matt Giteau dropping that ball. Very optimistic throw from the Springboks early. Went right over the back, so that's a good show of confidence. Jeremy Paul's first throw.
Matt Giteau at first receiver.
It's sloppy at the back, though, for Gregan. There's Giteau, now Larkham. Goes the dummy. Now George Smith carries it on. And he loses it forward. It is slippery out there. Counter-attacking opportunity. But no, the tackle was made by Larkham right on halfway. January. Matfield on Hardman, goes without it.
He was on the outside of Mark Gerrard too, with only Latham to beat and plenty of pace, as we know, Hardman. Oh, that was a super ball. Whoever threw that.
Victor Matfield.
Was it Matfield? Great judgment. First scrum, Kernsey.
Hookers off the mark, please.
There's the pass from Matfield, just a little high. They've got to wait for the call.
3 minutes gone, 0-0.
Break up gold, hookers over the mark, please. Crouch, crouch and hold. Engage. Now slipping on the side, just slipped here, guys, lost his footing.
There'll be a bit of that.
George Smith has those dreadlocks tight nicely back.
Use that gold.
Oh, Scott Fava had to pick it up at the back as the Springboks wheeled it. Not convincing by the Wallabies. And Larkham now tackled 10 from halfway. Vickerman, pick and drive. Shepherdson keeps it going.
Now they generate some momentum. They're unable to do that off the scrum.
Two green, go.
Gregan waits for it. Not a great pass, and George Smith can't do a lot with that.
Hands off, Ben.
Going backwards, the Wallabies, so Larkham decides to kick and picks out Habana. Knocked back into the 22. Right into the arms of Larkham across to Latham. No chip and chase this time. He's sending it down inside Springboks territory. Jaco van der Westhausen drills it into touch. Line out about 11 from halfway, still in South African territory. Can we go back to the scrum, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, there was a nice wheel that the South Africans put on the Wallaby scrum. They didn't go backwards, but it did force Fava to have to really get down on that ball low and pick it up quickly. He did a good job. 5
minutes gone. Jeremy Paul just asking the referee if he can move aside. They go to the back, and it's picked up by Fava.
Roll 6.
You see the dark line there just by the 10-metre line. That's our virtual advantage line.
Oh, field goal attempt.
Larkham! It's over! Stephen Larkham.
Well, how many has he attempted since the '99 World Cup? I think that's the first one in the test.
Well, that's the first time he's landed one. From Twickenham to Suncorp. 7-year break.
41 metres, Clarkie. Exceptional field goal to start the game. Gets you on a roll, gets the heads up, and gets the crowd with you. It looked like it was about 41. Didn't exactly see it, but had plenty of room.
Gee, he only ever slots him against South Africa.
I wonder if it was part of the game plan as the Wallabies lose it from the restart.
Well, George Smith put it down cold.
And so an opportunity here for the Springboks. Oh, Percy Montgomery took his eyes off the ball. And Gerrard.
Oh, that's a nice tactic with Giteau chasing.
Races on. Olafia getting back there. They've been called back, though.
You, offside. You're in front of the kicker. Option scrum here or penalty here or scrum back. In front of the kicker. Or scrum back.
Well, he's got Matt Giteau for being in front of the kicker.
All happened a bit quickly. I don't think anyone was anticipating that move from Mark Gerrard.
Call's been made.
No, he showed great skill to be able to turn around, pick that ball up, and just had his foot inside the line. Must have been a centimetre in it.
3-0 Australia over South Africa. 7 minutes gone. Line out.
Both teams have been prepared to go long in the line out.
No, not on you, not on you. Off you, half a metre off that mark. Bring him across.
One by Rousseau. I don't know if you spotted it or not, but Vickerman was very physical there with Scott Fava. Threw him into position.
You had the ball number 2 walked in front of you. Obstruction.
Penalty goes to Australia.
Scott Fava was behind Dan Vickerman, and he was manhandled and put in front of Vickerman, obviously in the wrong position. Miscommunication, and it was a violent throw around.
We'll see that the South Africans backed out of that maul and then have come straight back into it again. Once you've disconnected from the maul, you can't go back in. You're right, Mano. I think Dan Vickerman must have sensed where the South Africans were going to throw the ball. He can speak Afrikaans after all, and their line-out calls will be in Afrikaans. So I think he's had a change of plan of where he wanted his lifter to be.
Good call.
Well, now Jeremy Paul, 12 metres inside South African territory with the throw into the line-out, going for Sharpe. It's been lost, though, and Smith has it for the Springboks. January can't get away from Gregan, but he finds Osterrad, and the big fella taken by Nathan Sharpe. Rousseau losing it. So chance out wide. Larkham seizing the opportunity. Here's Latham. Good tackle by Ndengani, though. He lays it back. Here's Larkham to Giteau, trying to step his way through. Taken by Fadikirk.
Oh, there's opportunities.
Scott Fava handed it off to Gerrard. Gerrard kicking back on the inside. And it's been taken back into the in goal by Joe Fadikirk. 5-metre scrum.
Once the ball goes into in goal, it's not a problem. It's not a problem.
John Smith having an argument there with Paul Honus that Jeremy Paul dived on Joe van Niekerk over the line, therefore a penalty, but that's not true. The ball is dead. You can actually do that over the goal line.
Yeah, nice kick inside. We're just hoping maybe a little bit further across. Jeremy Paul knows his laws.
If he'd done that in the field of play, yes, it was a penalty to South Africa.
Wheeling off the mark. Don't chase the tight end, please.
Will the Australians here try and do some wheels on the South Africans?
Crouch and hold.
Lote Tuqiri at first receiver for the Wallabies.
Gregan.
Use it, goal.
Scrum is being wheeled.
Fava picks and goes.
Back 9.
Gregan. Now Larkham dummying. Almost through. Gregan.
Advantage, goals.
Oh, there are opportunities inside Larkham there. That's where the holes were.
Advantage being played here for the Australians. Here's Larkham. Gives it out to Jeremy Paul. He's taken 5 out. Pick and drive. Wallaby forwards. Trying to steal a try here. But no, it's going to
Offside
come
here,
back.
guys.
The penalty. Mortlock not too happy.
Hey, back off. Back off.
Steve Larkham, he won't care how big CJ Fanderlinder is.
Walk away from it.
Love to know what Ricky January, the halfback for the Springboks, did to Stirling Mortlock, because he was relentless. Vickerman stepped in there late, though.
Paul Honus will try and settle things down.
Well, let's have a look. There's Mortlock. He's cleaned out on Ricky January. He comes over the top, January. Oh, it just gives him a little flipper in the mouth.
I don't know what an offside line looks like. I need him back at least a metre. All right, on the blind side in particular. Let's just play footy, all right? Do it in your own time, please. We're playing on. Okay, go to the touchline. Go to the touchline.
No suggestion to the eye.
No, not to the eye.
Just to the mouth.
Okay.
Often some players will try and get their finger in your cheek and pull it.
Shot.
Can rip the side of your mouth. Not the brightest thing in the world to do.
A game of dominance, and Stirling Mortlock didn't want to get one over him.
We talked about George Smith's dreadlocks just a second ago. Here's the incident again. He knows very well. You can see the look on his face. January, he's done something wrong.
Yeah. I wish they've cleaned up their act, they say, but Ricky January at that moment's thinking, gee, that was a bad option.
Yeah.
Got a man in the blood bin as well, Jean Smith, the number 7. And they've opted to take the 3, something we didn't see them do at times in Christchurch. Sharpe coming on momentarily while Jean Smith gets patched up. Mortlock, 4th highest point scorer in the history of Australian rugby, 264 points. In from the far touch. There's the angle. Off the uprights, back into the field of play, so it's still 3-0.
That's not out, it's to Mark Gerrard.
And Gerrard fires it back across to Larkham with a bit of depth, and he goes to the air.
It's too far, gives Montgomery a chance to mark it.
Yeah, no real pressure on Percy there.
Oh, that's a big kick, but not out again. Gerrard gets a chance.
What will he do? He beats one, but then they claim him on the 10-metre mark.
Chance blind.
Oh, Gregan to Latham. Over the head of Pierre Spies on debut.
Well, he hasn't got the world's worst boot. He's picked up about, what, 30 metres there with that kick.
They are certainly electing to kick quite a bit, Marto.
I don't think it's a bad. It's probably a not a bad thing to give the ball to the opposition tonight. We've already seen a lot of knock forwards. Simply, if you get rocked by a big tackle, you're going to spill the ball forward. So play the game down in the opposition half, and then avoid any problems.
Line out one by Australia. Here's Larkham. Tuqiri on the inside gave it to Mortlock, and there's that slippery ball again. We're going to see a bit of it, I'm afraid.
That's why big defence is going to trump good attack tonight, because all you have to do is lay a hand in the right area and the ball will come loose. And of course, if it comes to scrums, it's going to advantage South Africa.
The South African defence looked a bit wider to me, Mano.
Just then, they don't seem to be rushing up as much, but Devet Barry was the key to that, and he's gone.
January. Oh, there's another lost ball, and Tuqiri swoops on it.
Oh, that's a big tackle.
It was Matfield that swooped on Tuqiri. No advantage there, so we'll come back.
No advantage. Gold scrum.
Geez, Lote Tuqiri has been hit with 3 cracking tackles tonight. One from the kickoff.
Well, that was well done there by Matt Giteau. He was the one that put Hardman under the pressure that made him drop the ball.
Crouch and hold. Engage.
Oh, big scrum from the box.
But the penalty goes against them.
Left on the far side.
Collapsing on the far side, the call, Kernsey. CJ Funderlinder.
Tell us about that, Kernsey. Why would the South Africans collapse if they were going forward?
Yeah, I don't understand that one. Both teams are obviously smarting from being dominated in their previous test matches in the scrum region. South Africans obviously aiming to dominate early here.
Look at this for a kick.
Oh,
Wonderful kick. Line out 5 metres out. There will be people sitting around lounge rooms, pubs and clubs around this great country rejoicing at your comment. I don't know what happened in there, because people will be saying, we don't know what's happened in the last 1,000 scrums. Oh, it's a unique position, the front row. Anyway, here we go. The Australians 3-0. A drop goal to Stephen Larkham. And a crucial line-out throw here for Jeremy Paul. Finds the target. Wallabies driving towards the try line.
This is something they did well last week.
Jeremy Paul has it trapped at the back. Here we go. Paul almost there. There it is. It's a try too. Jeremy Paul.
Oh, look at that against the South African team. It's just snatched in a scrum. Kernsey, talk us through the dominance of rolling ball there.
it was just beautifully patient, that whole thing. I thought at the line-out, the Australians had been caught a little bit high. I think it was Holmes that came in for the initial rip on Dan Vickerman. The throw was perfect, absolutely on the money. The jump, the lift, everything was spot on. I thought they were just a little high there. Holmes came in, they ripped the ball, and it's got to get straight to the back. You can see them handed to the back there. That's beautiful camera work. Jeremy Paul's just got to be patient. He's got to drive his guys forward. He's pushing him, he's pushing him. Now he waits for the moment. Doesn't that look good?
The drive, the little feet, and it's also the tightness. They were a lot, the South Africans were relatively loose compared to the compactness of the Australian. He up periscope once, had a look, readjusted, went, we're going to get there. The little feet just kept driving them.
8-0, Australia over South Africa. There's the angle for Stirling Mortlock. Wasn't happy with his goal kicking last week. He's really worked hard on it this week. And that's the result. This one straight over the black dot. So it's 10-0. Great start, Australia.
I reckon you could guarantee that the Springboks will obviously not be happy in the forwards at the moment. They've just been dominated by this Australian pack in a rolling maul. They'll hit back and try and do the same thing, guaranteed. I'll try and say to the Australians, well, you reckon you can do it, well, watch us.
I haven't really had a big go at the driving maul yet, the South Africans, so beware. Jeremy Paul was happy with that try.
The Ming dynasty is back. There's the restart this time. No real pressure on George Smith, and he beat a couple. Gregan back into the 22. Larkham just getting the kick away. Not out. Pierre Spies. And into a solid tackle. January. Fada Westhausen.
Oh, he's dropped that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, he has. It was a drop. It was a field goal attempt, he's saying.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so. I thought you lost it, control of it. No, if you lose control of it, it's a knock on. It has to be
The
deliberate
world
drop kick.
record field goal attempt we're about to see. Fell a bit short. And got hammered by Stirling Mortlock.
Engage.
Latham on the blind side, on the left here.
There's our advantage line, and they're up to it now.
Thank you, thank you.
Didn't go forward, play on.
He's George Gregan running, tried to sneak one around the corner. Here's the cross kick from Larkham. Too deep.
Oh, Percy has put down the sitter.
He's had a Percy. Oh, I think he's had a big look as well.
He planted that foot for the mark,
Well, he doesn't
which you don't have to do anymore. Shows how old he is.
Oh,
I probably
geez,
would have done the same thing.
Oh, straight through the elbows, which should be together. Wallaby, the whole back line is on the left-hand side. Gerrard shadowing Larkham.
Great scrum.
Gregan, Larkham inside ball, Gerrard. Good defence though by January. Still there for the Wallabies, advantage being played. Penalty. It's against Joe van Niekerk. Well, is that a professional foul or what? The Wallabies hot on attack.
It's an act of desperation. That's where we realise the Wallabies, if there are any chance we're going to dominate.
Well, they're going to take the 3 because they've had no problem getting down inside the opposition 22.
Here's a chat. Johnson. And here is the replay.
It's against 6 for the Springboks. Van Niekerk.
I tell you what I'm really happy about there is Paul Honus actually penalising. How many times did you see, well, last week, but all the time in a lot of games, the referee's going, hands off 7, hands off 7, hands off 7. They say it 3 times, no penalty.
Managing the game, they call it.
If 7 keeps doing it, penalise it.
Mortlock. An extra 3 points. 13-0. Australia over South Africa. Fans are happy.
All right, we talked about the first 20, important for Australia to get away to a good start. Well, we have that. Now it's up to the South Africans to try to counter, because they've got a lot of work to do to come back from here. Juan Smith, number 7 for the South Africans, is back on the field after a stint in the blood bin.
Van der Westhuizen with the restart. Loose and cleaned up by the Wallabies. Tuqiri.
Yeah, that's the right option.
Latham.
There's some space.
Mortlock, quick hands. Giteau inside the 22.
Didn't want that to go out.
Well, it finds touch and they're out of danger.
Oh, that was definitely a good call from the outside. And that's the thing, if they can ship those passes quickly and they want to run the umbrella defence, which means coming in up and fast. Have a look at this. This will demonstrate the hands. The pressure was on here on Mortlock. That skill and recognition of the defender on you. Then Giteau pumped it, makes 35, 40 metres.
John Smith with the throw in. 8 metres inside South African territory. Victor Matfield calling the ball for himself. They control it.
Here's the rolling maul from the South Africans. And away.
Coming off the side there is Juan Smith.
Oh, good gain of ground.
January, Van der Westhuizen. Crossfield, turning Tuqiri around. And he's got some work to do.
Oh, cop that. One-man counter-attack.
Into touch. At the captain's run yesterday, he was seen doing quite a bit of kicking, working on the game, working on that aspect of it. There's our virtual advantage line, the dark line there, just inside the 10 metres. Let's see what the South Africans can do. They win the line out. And they're up over that advantage line. 10-metre mark. Wallaby territory.
Over it a little bit further. To talk about that means they're getting momentum, but there's going to knock forward. Look where that broke down. It was 2 metres over the advantage line. That's what you're trying to achieve. It is a game of inches until you get the opportunities and get defenders out of the line. Already 6 handling errors by South Africa. 3 by Australia. Only a quarter of the game gone.
He's slipping on the far side.
It is a tough call in conditions like this. In terms of the footing and the scrummaging and deliberate collapsing, it's a fine line.
Engage.
Gregan. Larkham. Mortlock, quick hands. Gerrard popped it back on the inside. I think it came off one of the South Africans. Don't know if he played it though.
Everything right?
Going up to the 24th minute. 13-0 Australia over South Africa. There's George Smith. Gee, Kearnsey with the dreadlocks like that, he's almost inviting them to have a yank at that, isn't he?
Well, there was talk during the week that they had to bet the Springboks $100 to see who could pull one out. Oh,
good take at the back.
And look at the hole.
Larkham.
Oh,
Larkham!
oh, who's with him?
One to beat. Steps. Larkham. Gives it to the support. Gregan. Holmes has scored another try wearing the #1 jumper. Put it down to Stephen Larkham, though. Mercurial.
That is the most precise and exact try I have seen this season. First of all, the jump, which featured a feint into the centre, then it went to the back, and from there a flat ball to Larkham, who just plunged. It was purely the flatness of this ball. Right, let's have a look. That's Sharpe. The ball there was so flat that Larkham beat the defence designated to get in, plus the cover defence, and then ran rings around. Gregan was there. Holmes didn't think he was going to get there. Bash and over. Only 4 metres this one, but I think it'd be even more satisfying.
Gee, who are the Van der Vesthausen who came from behind here? He's the one that actually drives that momentum for Holmes to get over the line. Holmes will buy him a beer. Nice little twoies for the end of the match.
What a try. That is a magnificent team effort.
And how well has he done to get from that line out to support Stephen Larkham?
Mortlock. Coming round nicely. There's another 2 points. And it is 20 points to 0. The Wallabies over the Springboks, 26th minute.
So what happened with the South African defence then, Marta? They were just too wide. The South African defence too wide.
Well, I did have another look at it, but I think Van der Vesthausen, their 5'8", he was up and about, but Larkham, the angle he ran was just too good.
From the kickoff, taken by Vickerman. We're on the 22-metre mark.
Take it up.
And they drive it.
Three green.
Growing in confidence, the Wallaby forwards. And the Springboks just mistiming that. They're offside.
Offside. You're going too quick, Green.
This is the rush defence.
The ball was still underneath Lote Tuqiri in the middle of all that when they took off.
It's a high risk, good reward though for the rush defence. Of course, it was led by Devet Barry. They formulated it about 3 years ago. You have a look at that one. It's on the inside there. Ricky January, I think, was the one who led the offside defence. Their halfback.
Penalty count 6-1 against South Africa.
Don't guess. Wait, okay? Don't
Majority
guess.
of those from offside penalties.
I think on that occasion, George Gregan might have dummied as well.
Yeah,
Crafty old character.
Slight feint, wasn't there?
Light out. 5 metres inside. Springbok territory. Jeremy Paul. Goes to the back. Not straight.
Not straight, guys. Just waiting to see what happened from it. Option green.
Plenty of metres from the Australians. Look at that. 132 to the Springboks 18.
They've been making all the running and they've had most of the ball too. 57%.
Wait. Crouch and Holmes. Engage. Down the far side, guys. Slipping Steve or what?
Actually, it's 71% possession for the Australians.
Come on, guys. It's on this side. The last two. Let's get a little bit higher, please.
So it's Holmes on CJ Funderlinder. And we've got one of the Springboks down. Okay, well, while we've got this injury break, let's go to Rod Kafer. What do you make of the South African rush defence so far, Rod?
Clark, we saw right from the outset that the rush defence was working for South Africa. The South African players here in the inside backs through Faree, will rush up and try to corral the Australians into the midfield. It generated turnovers early in the piece. They haven't been as successful as the game's gone on.
Yeah, so what would you be doing with your coach's hat on? Is it something you should persist with?
Oh, look, it is something that has worked well for South Africa for a long period of time, and they tried it just before when Steve Larkham saw the try. We'll see that a little bit later on. It is a concern for South Africa at the moment because it's not quite working, but where do you go? That's their pattern. They'll need to stick with it.
And what a difference 7 days makes, Rod, Stephen Larkham controlling things out there.
Brilliantly, and the big thing has been the scrum. Australia's scrum has been really good.
OK, well, here we go.
Playing the advantage, George Smith, I think, was offside.
Yeah.
George Smith it was.
Not bound at scrum time.
Just on the back end of Rod Kafer's comment, 12 missed tackles by the South Africans, only one by the Australians at this stage.
Well, we saw during the week some of the stats from last week's Bledisloe Cup encounter where the Wallabies only made 78% of their first up tackles compared to their usual 91. Offside penalties, 4 by South Africa, 2 by Australia. So the message has got through
in those situations.
on those first up tackles.
Hard to resist, eh?
29 minutes gone, so good field position here for the Springboks.
Virtually for the first time in the match.
They go wide. They take it down and try and drive their way up to the try line.
You've got to think that'll be their first instinct, and it is.
Good work by the Wallabies, though. Now they go to ground. January waits for it. Fires it out, not a great pass in front of it.
Giteau!
Ndengani winning the sprint, but needs a good bounce and gets it.
Release.
Now he must release.
Release. Ball's out.
The ball is out. The Australians have won it inside the Springboks 22. The men in goal, they're on fire. That's been knocked down. We should be playing advantage.
Yeah, referee spotted it.
Now there's a yellow card, surely, for a professional foul.
Has to be a yellow card. That was completely cynical against the ways of this game.
I think it had 7 points written all over it. That one certainly 5 for
Deliberately
a try.
offside, deliberately playing the ball. An option. No option. We had defenders coming back, so it wasn't a penalty try situation for me. No, they had retiring players who could have.
No, they did.
He was basically the only one offside who played the ball. They had other players still retiring.
Honus is completely correct. It wasn't a penalty try situation. They had 4 defenders outside Victor Matfield. He took the punt and decided they were going to score, but it wasn't obvious that they were.
Well, if you can say one thing to our South African viewers, that the one thing that's really letting the South Africans down more than anything is discipline. I mean, ill discipline from Matfield there. There were, as you say, Mato, 4 defenders back in position.
Should have trusted him.
See Matfield running back there. He stopped, stuck the arm out, stopped the try.
All the defenders were offside, so at some stage someone had to commit an illegality to stop the Australian try.
Anyway, Mortlock will try and make them pay for it. Stabs it over. There's another 3, so it's 23 points to 0. Stirling Mortlock becomes only the 5th player to score 100 Tri-Nations points. 23-0.
But on the discipline issue, they've given away a lot of penalties, 7 tries to 2, and missed tackles. We've always said that was the initial break.
Well, mistake by Jaco van der Vesthuizen, and that was a brilliant pickup by Ndengani. He hung onto it as long as he could, and then who picks it up when it spurts out? George Smith, straight onto it. And that's when the offence came after that from Matfield. 14 men now, the South Africans, 7 up front. Let's check the score at the end of this 10 minutes.
It goes long, and Tuqiri waits.
Feet.
Larkham. Keeping it in the field of play. And that's a shocker from P.S. Spies.
The young man was back there covering the kick. Took it all right. I think he's a runner, not a kicker. Welcome to the big time, young fella.
Apologises to his teammates who are pointing daggers at him.
Line out one by the Wallabies. It's Mortlock running onto it, but Olafia, good tackle. Gregan.
Advantage, 3 offside.
Elsom. Beat 1, beat 2. Good run by the number 6 this week.
Oh, here's some chances, and they're offside again.
Forward pass.
Forward pass. Forward passing forward. Hedge advantage was offside.
Rocky Elsom beat some players there, stepping off his left on each occasion, and good awareness.
As I say, I reckon he's playing the best rugby of his career, Rocky Elsom, and it's only been a short career so far, but I think it's going to be a lot longer.
Oh, his aggression's what the Australian pack lacks, has lacked over the last couple of years.
Talking to Dan Vickerman, then
Crouch
pumping him
Holmes.
up, getting him ready for the
Engage.
scrum.
Easy, easy. Break up, break up.
Australian dominating the possession stakes.
Just moving off the mark.
Couple of line breaks already.
Contest starts once the ball comes in.
The Australian scrum having a bit of a go there and attacking.
Crouch.
Well, they're against
And
7.
Holmes.
Have a look at those missed tackles. Another
Engage.
2 on that occasion.
Springboks win the scrum without Matfield, who's in the sin bin. Back to Olafia inside the 22. He finds touch over on the far side.
It's a wild tactic, though. They've thrown the ball back from the scrum 20 metres just so they could make another 10, 15 metres.
And give Australia the ball on the throw. Look at the Vanulli effect going on in that scrum there. Both of them driving upwards.
Only point is, of course, you see the yellow chip there about the South African initials. They will be trying to slow the game down for this 10-minute period while they've got Victor Matfield, their second rower, off the field.
Jeremy Paul finds Elsom straight down to Gregan, Larkham. And again, they just want to play it down inside South African territory. Ndungani takes it back into the 22. Now runs it back out. And Tuqiri fires it across to Latham. Plenty of green jumpers there to meet him.
Wait until you see where this goes. That's a great kick again by Latham. He's having a super night with the boot, and they're chasing.
Montgomery finds touch about 8 or 9 metres from halfway.
Nice kick from Percy. It's a guy like him with all the experience in the world.
Still got over 5 minutes in the sin bin, Victor Matfield.
Plenty of experience there. So guys like Matfield and Percy Montgomery, the guys that need to settle the South Africans down, get the discipline back, stop the turnovers, stop the missed tackles.
One by Fava, down to Gregan, Larkham. Mortlock dummying, taking them on, but Van der Westhausen and Olafia make the tackle. Gregan again.
14 offside.
Gave it away to Sharpe. He gave it to Giteau. Matt Giteau, taken by January. Good support play by big Dan Vickerman. 25 metres out. Gregan gives it to Larkham, running into the traffic.
There's some tight forwards wide on the left for the South Africans, so chances for the Wallabies.
There's CJ van der Linde in the line.
Tuqiri from a standing start.
Roll 12.
Pick and drive. Sharpe.
Leave it 6.
Fava out to Jeremy Paul. Keeping it in tight, the Wallabies. Fava again. Gregan. Now Gerrard. Giteau! Matt Giteau, welcome back! That's what he's in the team for. Fleet-footedness.
Oh, one of the South African players, I don't know who it was, but he just stood there. Didn't move up in defence, led everyone else and left a massive hole.
Giteau's the one who put them on the front foot to get in that position, and then the short ball, have a look at this, simply off the left foot, runs around Percy Montgomery, who is flat-footed. Then the Superman finish, because that's what he is. Good to see him back.
Durant pushed across, he did the right thing. Then Van der Westhausen, it might have been 3, Olafia maybe.
Oh, Matt Giteau. He has looked magnificent.
Van der Vesthausen, and I'm pretty sure it was Olafia, stood together and just waited for the runner to run at them. They both took the one man and left a massive hole open for Matt Giteau.
What a start.
Another 2 points from the boot of Mortlock, so it is 30 points to 0. Springboks still a man down. Victor Matfield in the sin bin.
Gee, we scoffed at Rod Cafer before the match, saying that Australia would win this by 20. They're already out to 30-0.
Giteau. Well, we did talk in the pre-match show about Giteau's lightness on his feet every time he's made ground.
How are you feeling about your prediction now, Rod Cafer?
Yeah, Clarkie, still going well. I think the Wallabies, obviously, Matt Giteau really looking in good form, and a little bit of footwork there is the impressive thing that I think is overcome this rush defence.
Well, there's the restart from Van der Vesthausen, and Smith takes it.
Oh, there's opportunities to run yet again for the Wallabies. Larkham kicks.
And finds touch. Oh, the tactic is working, so if it ain't broke.
They're going to go there, Marto, from the kicks, from the kickoffs. The South Africans are all heading towards one area. The Australians are spreading. They've got about 7 or 8 guys out in the back line. The South Africans about 4.
Next kickoff, you reckon?
They're going to go very shortly.
Well, they've already had one go, but it ended up with Matt Giteau kicking long.
Got an injury here to Dani Rousseau, so while we have the break, let's go to Rod Cafer for a little bit of analysis. Greg Holmes, that was a fantastic try, Rod.
Yeah, it was, and it was all set up largely by the work at the line-out, where winning the ball at the back of the line-out is so crucial. It ties in the South African back row. We know that they use this up and in defence, and what they're trying to do, the South Africans, is stop the ball getting wide. Steve Larkham could see the space, could see Jakob van der Vesthausen lined up outside him, and he just said, thanks very much. I'll take that hole and go straight through the middle and set up this wonderful try.
Rousseau looks to be in a spot of bother there.
Doesn't look well at all.
Already missing Bakis Boita, did not make the tour at this stage of the season because of injury. Albert Vandenberg, very experienced in the number 18 jumper, coming on for his 36th appearance, the 32-year-old. So that is a blow.
Good jumper, quick around the field, Vandenberg.
Smith. Springboks in damage control at the moment, down by 30. Over the back it goes, but
not straight.
Not straight the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, with Matfield not there, you got Vandenberg's just come on from his first line out. So lacking a little direction in that line out.
Stay up, please, gentlemen. Crouch and hold.
Yeah, you've got to remember PSB's jersey 8 tonight for the South Africans. First test, he's a target, but hasn't got much ball in the line out. We go wide, Larkham kicks long.
Oh, that's a magic kick. That is a magic kick.
Stops just before the try line. Undugani across to Montgomery onto the left foot. And into touch.
Victor Matfield can't be too far away.
John Smith just asking a question to Touchy about that last throw.
Jeremy Paul. Sharpe with two-handed take. Can they work another try here? The Wallabies just before half-time. There's George Smith. And now Fava has it tucked under the arm at the back. There's a half-time siren sounds at Suncorp.
Vandenberg's got his hands on it. There's the ball there.
It's coming out the Wallaby side. And Gregan now gives it to Larkham. He's going to go to the air.
Oh, there's men there.
Montgomery goes high. Mortlock. It's there for Jeremy Paul, but no, knocked on. And that is half-time. What an opening 40 by the Wallabies. Questions were asked. Could they bounce back in 7 days? Well, have a look at the scoreline. There's your answer. Australia 30, South Africa 0 at half-time.
Well, bounce back. They're on the pogo stick. They've bounced back beautifully well. 30-0. They've just been dominant everywhere. The South Africans have made lots of mistakes, a lot of missed tackles, a lot of penalties they've given away, and a lot of drop ball. They just haven't been able to hang on to the ball for long periods. The Australians have won this game, or are winning this game, with their head. The tactics are working beautifully.
Dani Rousseau, he has been replaced permanently, so that's a bad blow. Victor Matfield still in the sin bin at half-time after scoring 3 tries to none. It is Australia leading South Africa 30 points to 0.
Sam Cordingley's on for George Gregan.
Well, there's the restart, and the Springboks have it.
And I think Mark Chisholm's on for Dan Vickerman. We'll confirm that in a sec.
And a kick immediately from Van der Westhuizen as the rain comes down, and Latham takes it. Cross it goes now to Tuqiri. Gives it to Mortlock. I don't know if he's had a bit of a glance, but it is slippery out there.
I'll tell you what, it's a good lead to have when the rain suddenly comes down after half-time, because it is going to be like soap, this ball.
Yeah, Stirling just apologising to Lote Tuqiri, acknowledging it was a good ball. He sucked in the 2 defenders, and Stirling just dropped it cold in the conditions.
Crouch and hold. Engage.
January gives it to Ndungane. Tries to crash his way through 10-metre mark. Wallaby territory. It comes out.
Oh, how did that
Chance
come
to
out?
go.
And Cordingley. Fava. Quick hands. Mortlock. Now Gerrard. Oh, beautiful ball. Latham. Montgomery holds on though. The legs are
look at the strength.
Up to the 22 goes Chris Latham. The Wallabies arrive. Accordingly gives it to Gerrard. Nathan Sharpe pops it back. It's play on. Still there. Elsom, Gerrard. Jeremy Paul out in midfield. Runs it back into the traffic. Gives it now to Shepherdson. He goes over the 22. Fava. Cordingley.
Roll 2.
Right move. There were no gaps out wider for Cordingley.
Jeremy Paul. Taken by Oscar Rand.
Yeah, they've got to soak up some defenders first.
Ball backwards. Play on.
George Smith. Taken by Smith.
Roll 7.
And also Juan Smith.
It's advantage. Lost forward Green.
Advantage being played here. The Springboks got a hand on it and knocked it forward.
Larkham's going to have another shot at field goal, no?
Well, Sharpe will have a charge into the green jumpers. Accordingly, back to Larkham. Mortlock, advantage over. Giteau along the ground, sloppy. And now Fava goes to ground.
Release. First infringement, 8 holding on. Penalty green.
There was better defence from South Africa there. They started to push up in a straight line, obviously starting to communicate a little in defence.
I'll tell you what, there was a bit of loose stuff there before this occurred. Referee did yell out release there. I didn't think Fava touched it again, but he was all over. It's important that the Wallabies don't keep looking at the scoreboard. They have to mentally, and it's hard to do, they have to make it 0-all. Otherwise, they'll loosen up and they will give away easy points.
Yeah, you have to go forward before you can go wide. The Wallabies just
Sorry guys, play down here.
playing a little bit east-west that time rather than going north-south.
I think also we've already seen that Cordingley has come on to try and get some test match rugby under his belt. Selections. These players can't take the foot off the gas because under John Conley and his new coaching staff, they've said that they're not going to tolerate a form slump.
Time on.
Smith finds his line-out lieutenant, Matfield.
Come out 4.
Van has it at the back.
There's no doubt this is their match plan pre-match. They've only pulled off one of these driving walls in the first half.
It's a 10-metre mark, Australian territory.
From the back.
Springboks still controlling it.
5 seconds, Green.
There he goes.
Van breaking away.
Ruck time goals.
So this is better from South Africa. Front of us, 1,000.
Forward pass.
Forward pass, dummy runners all over the place.
Jaco van der Westhuizen does himself no favours when he throws that pass. He falls backwards, which gives a tremendous appearance and the ball goes forward. It was very flat. Let's have a look. As he passes it, he backs away. So even if it was a very flat pass, but he makes it look even worse than it was.
Van der Westhuizen made his debut in 2000. 32nd Test match for the 28-year-old.
That's 3 errors out of 11 touches on the ball in the first half. Not a good ratio.
He's got Fava drove into that rolling ball there, trying to stop it. Got a bit of a burner down his shoulder, which means he's knocked the nerve. The nerve, it's almost like hitting a funny bone.
Okay, let's get a bit of quick analysis from Rod Kafer. In a moment, we'll come to it because Fava is back on his feet. 4 minutes gone into the second half. 30-0, which was the half-time score.
Engage.
So Sam Cordingley from the Queensland Reds.
Good scrum from the South Africans.
And Cordingley, though, has it and gives it out to Tuqiri. Fends off and Ndungani. And Lote dropped it onto the foot. Needed it to stay in the field of play. Couldn't control it.
You see him having a little practice swing there. He's not a natural left footer, but he now has the courage to go for it. And he went for this one. First time he's really put it on Ndungani to go outside him. Tuqiri came to a reinforcement, and Lote not happy with that little left foot kick.
Smith. One. Very well contested that time by Rocky Elsom, disrupting the South African line out.
7, come back 7.
Nathan Sharpe. It's got to be in some of his best form, isn't it, Nathan Sharpe?
Well, they're all looking good tonight, that's for sure.
Just talking about this season, this test season. And another line out.
Well, there's no possible way that South Africa can win this game tonight, Marta. I'll tell you why. They've only got 6 in their team management. The Wallabies have got 16. There's no possible way a team can win with only 6.
The game's one off field, do you reckon?
Oh.
I'll tell you what, they've even made a change up front. Oz Durant, there he is walking off the field. The big man, he's been replaced by Eddie Andrews. Loose head prop.
Oz Durant, he's been around Test rugby as long as George Gregan, so we've got the 2 veterans off the field at the moment.
Five seconds, Green. 5 seconds.
January. And Latham calling for it, taking it. Claimed immediately by Ndungani. Cordingley, not a great pass, but Larkham fires it out now to Giteau onto his left foot. They're just going through the motions at the moment, the Wallabies.
Oh, wouldn't you love this if you're one of these Wallaby players? You've come under intense scrutiny and comment. There's Matt Rogers got tonight off. Phil Waugh, you'll see him on the field quite shortly, I would figure. You've come off all that scrutiny and criticism from last weekend's loss to the All Blacks, and the intent, and you face up to the intensity of the Springboks is so easy compared to what they faced last week in Christchurch. No pressure whatsoever in most situations.
Yeah,
January gives it to Olafia. Good defence midfield by the Wallabies, but good support play now from the Springboks. Laid it back quickly, kept it in hand. But now from a standing start goes Matfield inside the Australian 22. Desperate for points, Fundenberg. January. CJ Funderlinder. January. To Smith, he's captain. Cordingley holds on. Percy Montgomery. He's only centimetres out. Real pressure here on the Australian defensive line.
Oh, they've got numbers everywhere.
Come down. No.
I was just about to say, Marty, do not write South Africa off yet tonight. They're starting to hold the ball. They're starting to get some momentum from their rolling maul. And here they're starting to make a few line breaks. John Schmidt.
It's a good, not a bad call. I don't reckon they can get here by any stretch of the imagination, but they're starting to make tackles as well.
Well, you can sense that the Australians have dropped off a little intensity as well.
Look at how many tackles they've had to make. They've fallen off plenty, as we saw at the stats at half-time, but they've made 86 compared to the Australians 27. They just haven't had the ball.
Let's get some analysis now from Rod Kafer as Mortlock is treated.
We saw just before half-time the Matt Giteau try, and it was a great piece of coaching here. We knew South Africa would have these holes in their defence around the edge of the ruck. Mark Gerrard steps in at first receiver and uses a little flat play. When both of them are flat, they run a little. Mark Gerrard runs a little outside line. Matt Giteau runs an inside line, attacking the space that gets created. He knew where the hole was all along, straight through the middle, and an easy try.
Yeah, welcome back, Matt. Stirling Mortlock had a good look at his shoulder. He's staying out there.
Kenzie, any chance we'll see a pushover try here? An attempt made by the South Africans at a humiliation?
Well, they should do, but you know they've got Eddie Andrews on, and he's nowhere near as strong a scrummager as what Gerrard is.
Stay on, 7. Stood up, stood up, stood up.
What's Jeremy Paul saying to his forwards in this situation, Phil?
Well, he's just got to tell them to hang in there. He'll be talking to them, saying, keep your body height strong.
Okay.
We've got to set low here.
Crouch and hold. 3. John, just back off. Crouch
What
and
about
hold.
John Smith? What's
Engage.
he telling his team?
Push, boys.
Have a dig. Picked up by Kirk, waiting for the troops to gather.
Backwards,
Down
play.
the back.
Leave it, 7.
Stolen. George Smith was all over it.
Lost forward,
but now
goal.
they
Lost forward.
knock it on, and the forwards are not going to be too happy. That was probably one of their own that knocked it on, one of the forwards that is. Turnovers, 14 by South Africa.
South Africans had, lovely the handling here. The South Africans had incredible pressure on there, but a very poor back row move for how well your scrum's going.
It was a terrible back row move.
Well,
No
they get another
speed
crack at
at
it.
all.
Had a bit of obstruction to it and everything.
Don't drop your binds. Keep strong through the scrum, all right? Once the pressure comes on, don't drop your binds. Crouch. Crouch and hold. Engage. No. Keep it quiet. No one was at fault on that one, all right? You just slipped, come up.
Wake me up when it's all over, Kenzie.
Well, they're saying that
You love it.
And hold.
Holmes is saying that Van der Linde is turning inwards, which he did
3
again
grand.
there.
Dropping your binding and collapsing it. He dropped his bind and collapsed it. I watched him. He dropped his bind and collapsed the scrum.
Yeah, it's hard, John Smith, to argue because you can't see it. But I know he must be incredibly
All right,
frustrated.
explain to everyone. They were talking about this right arm on the South African player there with the black back on it on CJ Van der
Here he
Linde.
goes.
He
And
drops
it just
that
drops
bind.
it there.
Hey, I reckon I could pick these scrums up.
You love it.
Well, that hasn't found touch. And they come back at them now. Giving South Africa plenty of possession. And John Smith is tackled on the 22. Australia 30, South Africa 0. Sloppy ball at the back for January. Taken by Gerrard.
Hands are on. Play on. 8 goal, roll out.
Waiting, and now Matfield gives it to Smith.
Goal, 1.
Such slow ball coming out for the South Africans.
Penalty against Australia.
Roll clear straight away. Don't lie there, please. Roll away, goal 1.
It's against Greg Holmes, not rolling away.
I think he was getting some encouragement to roll away, was he? By the boots of the Springboks. No, not too bad.
Crowd figure just handed to me, 45,978. They sold more than that, but some people, I think, decided to stay at home and watch it on Fox Sports because of the rain. We hope you're enjoying our live and uninterrupted nationwide coverage.
You can see the possession stat from starting to drop slowly. Jeremy Paul coming from the field. Done an ankle by the looks of things. Sean Hardman coming onto the field.
Scored the first try tonight.
How fit are you, Kearnsey? Because we're virtually down to no one. We have 4 other hooking contenders out injured.
Well, now the pressure is still on the Australian defence. The Springboks I'll say it again. They're desperate for points.
Through the middle.
They've defended this part of the game pretty well, the Wallabies.
It's energy sapping, though.
Fava's got his hands on the ball there.
There it is.
The two number threes having a bit of push and shove over on the short side, but there we go out to Thunderburst. Howson, he's had a shocker. And now counter-attack opportunity, maybe.
Tuqiri.
Tuqiri.
Oh, look at this.
Rocky Elsom.
Keep control of that one, Lyndon.
We got Australia got big numbers where Tuqiri's going now.
He loves to get the hands on the ball, Lote Tuqiri. Out the back door it goes, and Larkham sending it down to Thunderburst inside his own 22. He'll run it back. And Latham inside his 22.
Holding gold.
Not out.
Okay.
Spies knocks it back. Keeps it in the field of play. Tuqiri.
That's not out either.
Forcing's back.
Okay, yeah, just like that. We'll take our time.
Now, Matfield in centre field wants to have a run. Enough of this kicking, he says.
At least 5.
And through goes Thury. Jacques Thury. Away from Cordingley. Latham is there.
Ball's out. Ball's out.
The ball is out. Springboks was standing there looking at it, and Smith went through.
Scrum. Hey.
Tell you what, there was a stomp there by Juan Smith.
Yeah, he can.
Pitch it right there. Number 7 for the Springboks. It was
What have we got, Lyndon?
a stomping. I don't know whether it was close to the ball or not.
Incredibly frustrated. You can see the look on his melon.
Number 3 green.
It was
Number
on
3
George
gold.
Smith, I think.
Just the players, please.
George goes through,
Three.
driving
Saying
out
the ball
away
is
from
out
the
there.
ball. That's where the referee called it out.
Players not rolling away, both Australian and South African ball.
Yeah,
Players.
that's not a backward motion. Bit of fun.
3 green. 3 gold. 3
Referee was
gold.
calling the two number 3s out. They had a bit of a push over on the far side. Guy Shepherdson and CJ Funderlinder.
Shepherdson ripped CJ's shorts. CJ said
Okay.
they're the best
I
pair.
don't want to see anything off the ball, okay? Because it's just result in one thing happening, okay? Change your shorts.
You naughty boy. Change those shorts.
Change your shorts.
Yeah, they're at the edge there. Shepherdson will. There he is.
Can't see.
14 green.
Oh, dear.
That'd be the size 50 unwashed, I reckon.
Yeah, well, how about we get his replacement on? How about we get it? No, stand
Is he
up.
talking
Stand
about a
up.
replacement player,
Stand up.
replacement shorts? Then?
No, he's got new shorts
Oh,
on.
there they are.
14 greens coming off.
14 green. O'Connor
Start here.
Ndungani is coming off. So Brayton Paulser, the 30-year-old, playing his 59th test. Score of 23 tries. Goes on. So Ndungani's debut is over.
Engage.
Now, I've got to tell you, George Gregan once had hair like that. I've seen photos.
Kick downfield.
Oh, that is a cracker.
And Montgomery. Not a lot of angle to play with.
Come out, 9.
He did pretty well. Line out about 6 metres from halfway. South African territory. Half time, it was Australia 30-0. And still the scoreline, possession 60-40 to the Aussies.
Time and a half. That's levelling up a little bit.
So is that one.
Indicating that most of the Australian points were scored from outside the 22, of course.
Pushing in the line outs.
Penalty against the South Africans.
Cross and push. 18.
18, Albert Funderburg.
On the 15.
No, it wasn't obvious to the naked eye, was it, Kernsey? I didn't see it.
No. It doesn't have to be obvious to us. It's Paul Holmes. It's got to be obvious too. Yeah, maybe the South Africans a little hard done by there.
Well, they've got a dejected look to them too, the South Africans. They've offered nothing in attack.
I've got a feeling there was a push. I saw it.
Change at halfback here.
Drew Dupria coming on for Ricky Gendry.
See where they did need a new player, and that's at fly half. Jaco van der Westhuizen offering nothing.
Well, the man on the bench, Mayer Bosman, the 21-year-old. I don't know if he's quite the answer at the moment.
I reckon Brayton Polso.
Oh, Cordingley!
Australia! Sam Cordingley!
They'll go off the grounding.
Held up. Oh, right.
Gold scrum.
Try-saving tackle in the end by Drew Dupria.
Paul Honus doesn't want to bother the TMO for that one, and Sam Cordingley, not too much disappointment. He knows he's been held up. Look at him following through Hardman on the inside, the two Queensland Reds players. Oh, there's Jaco van der Westhuizen. He's offering something there.
Oh, it's a lovely ball to him on the inside.
Or was it Fava Dupri? It was Fava Dupri, the new halfback replacement. There's Gregan having a laugh.
Important for Australia to score 4 tries to pick up a bonus point, of course. And they've got an opportunity here. The inside ball goes to ground. It's still okay, though, is it?
Yeah, it was loose play.
Bodies all over the place, and now the drive from Nathan Sharpe, the big man going forward again. Chisholm goes to ground. George Smith with the pick and drive. Cordingley wants to go the short side, gives it out to nobody. It's been knocked down by one of the Springboks, so we'll come back for a scrum.
Dupria again, there he is. Obviously not deliberate. But the Australians, I'm surprised by the easy meters they're making.
Yeah, around the edge of the ruck and maul, the pick and drive. It's just gaining them so many easy yards.
So they've got some fireworks out wide, though. There's a time to occasionally unleash this back line we keep hearing about.
Well, the back line we keep hearing about. Mac Giteau's at first receiver. Larkham's third receiver.
Accordingly, here's Giteau. He's going to the air for Tuqiri. Got the ball. Chris Latham.
What is that? There was a torpedo kick to start it.
The familiar Chris Latham drive, and that is 4 tries, so that's the bonus point to the Wallabies. 35 points to 0, and Tuqiri had to keep in the field and play, bumped them back on the inside.
It was deliberate for this side of the field, Clarkie. That's why Giteau went to fly half, because he was outside leg, the left leg. Great take, a wobbly old kick, but Tuqiri, his knowledge and combination with Latham, that's what caused that try. Latham gobbled it up.
Well, and it wasn't the prettiest kick of all time, but it was perfectly placed. Just magic. Tuqiri loses his footing here, bang from underneath him. No one jumps on him, so he's not held. Just pops the pill back. Pulsar, well, he'd run too far. Percy, well, he was never going to get there. He tried the ankle tap. Up, and away!
So for Chris Latham, as the conversion is successful from Mortlock to take it to 37 points to 0. Chris Latham now has scored 33 test tries, so he's 14th all-time in the history of rugby. Second on the Australian count to David Campese, who has 64, so he's still got a long way to go there.
Everything going right for the Australians tonight. There were so many aspects of that try that could have gone wrong. Latham imitating Tuqiri's try, and then crash landing.
Well, and you can't get too carried away either. I mean, so many things went wrong for the Australians last week. They were outplayed well and truly by the All Blacks. That's a nice run from Dupria.
Yeah, from the restart.
Oh, and it's Giteau!
Matt Giteau pops it over Gerrard, kicking back on the inside, chases on, bounces good for South Africa, tackle is good by Mortlock though. So again, the Springboks find themselves under all sorts of pressure back in their own 22. Drew Dupria,
Not out.
trajectory, and Tuqiri fires it into midfield. So they go
Space wide.
Latham.
Oh, that's nice.
Oops, and he just holds on. Gerrard, Elsom runs back in on the angle. Cordingley on the ground to Sharpe. He can drive. Wallabies. Cordingley goes in reaching for it to the short side. Pops one over the top to Rocky Elsom. Elsom takes them on.
That's okay.
It's okay. But the Springboks got back there to clean up and through to Priya.
There's a chance for them to run here.
Across they go. Jacques Fourie. Limited opportunities tonight. Fundenberg. Holzer. Inside.
Wallaby defence starting to get back into shape now.
Through to Priya. Logo front of Westhausen.
Oh, that's a shot.
Right into the bread basket of Chris Latham. Got away from one. Got away from two.
He's going to go all the way.
Nobody in front of Chris Latham. Oh! He put the blocker on him, Phil Kearns. He looked to be cramping up a bit there, Chris Latham. I'd say if that was in the first minute of the game, he was away. He can't believe it.
Well, Pulsar is pretty quick, and Pulsar is fresh as well. Looked out, looked at, he was going to throw the pass.
That's how slippery it is. All he had to do was think about passing, and he's guggled it.
And some changes coming on here for the Wallabies. Maya Bosman is already on there in 21 as Latham gives us a smile.
Al Baxter coming on the field.
Handling errors. Australia starting to creep up into the South African territory.
I think Rathbone's come on for Gerrard, has he?
Yes, he has, and Greg Holmes is the man who's going to have a breather from the front row.
Well, he needs one after scoring all those tries.
61 and a half gone. Australia 37, South Africa 0.
Come on, guys. Hold it, hold it.
And next week, I wonder what the All Blacks are thinking watching this one across the ditch. It is the Springboks and the All Blacks in Wellington next Saturday. Australia have a weekend off before they take on the All Blacks back here at Suncorp Stadium. What a match that's going to be. The Wallabies, renewed confidence on their home track.
Remember, break up. Hey, just remember, goal, the competition doesn't start until the ball goes in the tunnel, okay?
They can't get carried away, the Wallabies, with this performance. South Africa's performance has been ordinary.
Engage.
Just got to keep building. I know John Connolly and the coaching staff are saying that. Just build.
Lost forward here by Van Niekerk. So Mortlock sizing up the opportunities, gives it to Rathbone against his old countryman. He was playing advantage, so we'll come back for the knock forward. Well, it just has been a debacle out there at times for the Springboks. They just can't take a trick. There's Rathbone, 24 years of age, his 19th test for his adopted country.
Crouch and hold. Engage. Let's go, Hart.
Cordingley denied a try earlier. Can't get there this time either. Pick and drive by the Wallabies.
There's a Chisholm.
Held up, guys.
Held up.
No, you couldn't get it down. We're out 5. Goal scrum.
Held up again over the line.
Same bloke.
Paul Honus was right there, so there's no doubts that he could see it. That's good refereeing too. Is it Fourie to
Oh, it is Fourie
Again.
to Priya again.
Getting his leg, that right leg has saved 2 5-pointers. Would you have seen anything if you'd gone upstairs? No, didn't look like it went to ground there. Good decision. But how, the ease that Sam Cordingley came off the halfback for the Wallabies, came off that scrum and went forward 4 metres. South African defence has been so weak. You talk about next week in Wellington, the All Black Springboks, you've got to think that'll be an annihilation. They play like this.
Scrum time, and the Wallabies win it. Fava.
Sharks Cronje on the field for South Africa too.
Here's Larkham. He's going to try the little grubber kick, but it was straight into the boots of Victor Matfield, but still there for the Wallabies.
Oh, Baxter, they're good metres.
Cordingley waiting for it. Cordingley gives it out now to Chisholm. Great tackle by Maya Bosman. Now here's George Smith. Taken by his opposite number. No, in fact, not his opposite tonight. It's number 8, P.S. Spies. It's sloppy in there.
Oh, hold on.
And that's offside, or it's forward.
Lost forward here.
Just needed to settle it down. And I suppose if you're leading by 37, you're probably entitled to have a crack, are you?
Lost forward next to the offside.
There's just no South Africans committing at the breakdown. There's just so much room, as Marto's saying, for the Wallabies to just pick and drive.
Why wouldn't you? They're having trouble committing, South Africans.
Right up, no, got to wait for the goal, second row.
Possession, 62%.
Crouch and
Time
hold.
in the opposition
Engage.
half.
That's the big one that's increased in this half.
So Cronje having a run, the fresh man. Just staying in. No, he's into touch. Flag is up.
No touch.
Oh, just his foot creeped over. Jacques Cronje, he was having a bit of a complaint. I think there was a claim that the touch judge was a liar.
No, his foot was just on the line. It just clipped it. That's all you have to do.
Frustrating night for the Springboks, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're having a bit of the night the Wallabies had last week.
Let's get some more analysis now from Rod Kafer.
Yeah, the Chris Latham's break here. Jaco van der Westhuizen looks up and he's got all of his forwards out on the left, so he thinks I'll put the little chip over the top and regather. Doesn't get to the ball. Chris Latham, when he gets the ball, looks up and sees the same group of forwards on that side. He thought he'd have a go at him, but thought, oh, hang on a minute, I might come back the other way, where there were no chasers. He's got wonderful power in the legs, Latho, to get through the tackle, and here just loses the ball when the try was on.
Yeah, I'll repeat, I think if it was in the first or second minute of play, he might have gone all the way there, but he's had to do plenty of work in the heavy conditions tonight. Knocked down, and Cordingley gives it to George Smith, standing at first receiver. Larkham, here's Giteau. Oh. And now, quick hands. Rathbone for the corner, the kick, the chase, the try! Matt Giteau!
Well, his turn in the tackle was enough to ignite that and push it a little bit further, and then he follows through. Rathbone did well to keep it on the toe and keep it in touch. He'd love that against his former country. The reserves bench happy. Matt Giteau's happy. It's been one hell of a night to get a try-scoring double on your return from injury. This here, the awareness to know he had a defender on him, then to throw that pass. Latham's was a beauty. Watch Giteau in the headgear inside. Sure, it looked lucky, but the thing is, you had to be there to make the luck. It's that bit there that was so good.
Well, and we talked about the higher risk and higher reward of that defensive pattern. As soon as Giteau knew that he could get around that man, and Rod Kafer talked that the quick steps is the key to beating that defence, well, Giteau's got quick feet. He got outside, and they're always going to be a shorter defender from that time on.
42 points to nil. Well, they're really in damage control now, the Springboks. This is an absolute hammering. Australia's biggest previous win against the Springboks, 26 points. That was here on this ground. 32-6 back in 1999. Mortlock looking for the extra 2. Not this time. So it remains 42-0.
Gee, I don't know if the Boks would ever lose a test match to nil, would they?
Well, the biggest winning margin in Tri Nations history was 39 points, and on that occasion it was the Springboks over Australia, that ill-fated day in Pretoria, 1997. So Giteau deserves a breather.
Hold on, the last time they were held to nil was against New Zealand in Dunedin in 1999. 28-0 New Zealand, South Africa.
Captain.
George Smith off the field, Phil Waugh on.
Kotsia on as well.
You're an encyclopedia, Greg Martin.
Well, just trying my hardest.
He sleeps with his rugby record book.
Oh. We actually have a statistician sitting next to me.
Don't tell him that, mate. I'm trying to make you look intelligent.
Larkham with the kick. And now a chance for the Springboks.
Oh!
The inside ball is not a good one. Rocky Elsom claims it, and then picks up another 5 or 10 metres. Cordingley to the short side they go. Lost forward. Jacques Fury kicks it into touch. We'll come back for the knock on though.
Is there any chance at all Clyde Rathbone was running that line there behind Van der Westhuizen and called for that in Afrikaans? Is that why he threw it? Jacques Fourie made some good impact when he's had the ball in hand, but that's been very rare.
To the right starting spot. Crouch and hold. Engage.
Bosman, the first receiver for the Springboks. Here's Hardman, limited opportunities. Van der Westhuizen put his hands up, but I tell you what, even if he was the Indian rubber man, there was no way he was going to drag that in. Oh, and Sam Cordingley.
No, it's all right.
No quick ones because it's come from the ball boy.
No need to press charges
Yes,
there.
are.
Cordingley was having a go at a quick line out off Latham.
Got a quick throw in.
Got Hammond through his trouble.
Only a quick line out.
There's the runs. 71 times the Australians, only 31 to the Springboks.
The Springbok back line has a new look about it. Dupree, Bosman, Olafia, Fourie, Jacques Van der Westhuizen has gone back to fullback, replacing Percy Montgomery.
And look, there was a positive look about that move they just made. It wasn't matched by their ability.
Phil Waugh driving this at the back.
Three.
Kenzie, I reckon their driving more, rolling more, whatever you want to call it, by the Australians has been the most improved feature of their forward play.
Oh, no doubt.
It soaks up so many defenders.
Pulling down and coming in the side. Go.
Waugh takes a quick tap, knocked down.
Another penalty. Not 10, plus a knockdown pass.
Now Cordingley.
Okay.
Crossfield. Rogers. First touch for Matt. 10-metre mark, South African territory. Cordingley. Larkham. Sharpe. Elsom. Forward.
Gee, Elsom's had a wow of a game tonight as well.
Yeah, this one definitely went forward. Good work by Nathan Sharpe. Oh, was there a deviation off a Springbok hand?
Crouch
Gee,
and hold.
rock and roll turnover.
Engage.
6.
That's conceded.
Pretty green.
Oh, they've been hammered in the
That was
penalties
also
and free
almost
kicks.
dangerous as well. 3.
11 penalties conceded, only 4 by the Australians.
Let him play at 22.
Not a lot wrong with Nathan Sharpe's running game tonight, again making big meters.
Here's
Yeah,
Larkham.
got him, yeah, advantage.
And Larkham spotted a hole, gave it to Phil Waugh. Phil Waugh loses it forward.
40 on the ground, no advantage, offside.
He was playing advantage though, so it's a penalty to Australia.
They were a mile offside out wide. I mean, that is just total lack of discipline.
Like that, 12 penalties conceded by the Springboks to 4 by the Australians.
If you want to play a high-risk defensive pattern like that,
What over here?
you have to be completely disciplined about it. You have to stay back. You have to talk to each other.
No, let's play on, let's play on.
Phil Waugh on the hit and spin there. Oh, that's where the Springboks are offside. That's what they've been penalised for. The hit and spin, like Giteau's used it a lot. Stirling Mortlock, I reckon it's a aspect of their game they've actually focused and said, I think you'll need to do more of that because of that rush defence. As soon as you get the ball, you get hit by a defender. So that's one way of protecting yourself in the tackle. The hit and spin gets you out of the way of the defender.
Oh, they must have had Ray Price down at training.
One of the great proponents. Phil Kearns bringing a smile to many people's faces.
So an important throw into the line out. For Hardman, he finds it.
There's a hole up the middle.
And there it is for the Wallabies. They're over the line. Did they get it down this time?
Break up.
I don't think he
Held
saw
up and
that.
goal, fellas. Out 5, goal ball.
Held up again.
Held up. Goal scrum.
Is there a TMO on duty tonight?
And I think it's Jacques Fourie again.
No, Fourie Dupree.
Fourie Dupree, sorry. I get my Fouries mixed up.
42-0. 3
Crouch and hold.
tries disallowed. Held up over the line. Cordingley. Here we go again with Cordingley. Plenty of runners. Tuqiri. Fava.
Just one yet.
Are they just not moving up in defence, mate? What's
I
going
did
on?
not,
There's
mate. I was so
much
busy.
space.
I was so busy watching the attackers there, Kermsey. I didn't keep an eye on what the defence was doing.
Oh, sorry.
Lote Tuqiri was off his left wing, ready to go for a run. That was more exciting than watching defence.
Well, the South Africans have less than 7 minutes to score some points here. They have never been held scoreless by the Wallabies in all of the years they've been playing Test rugby against each other. Latham just losing the footing there.
He's got great leg strength to be able to get back onto his feet then and still gain some metres.
Cordingley, here's Tuqiri. He's kicking. No chase at all. And that's going to go into the in goal.
He didn't have much alternative than Lote Tuqiri.
There's Brian Habana maybe thinking about the quick restart. No.
Sam Cordingley read that well. Well, the pick and drive, you see how effectively Australia's used that 14 times.
And that's been something that's led to that stat. Line breaks. Australia have made 7, South Africa 2.
Well, here's Latham running it back inside South African territory by a metre or so. Cordingley, Latham kicking for the chasers this time, but he finds Dupria. And the replacement scrum half goes to ground. Here's Bosman. And that's into touch. So gives you a bit of an idea that they don't have...
Quick line out, Larkham gives it back to Rathbone. Clear run, 1 to beat.
Inside it goes, Fava. And there's the try for Chisholm. The Wallabies really turning the screws now on South Africa. That is 47 points to 0. Kick to come.
If you blinked, you missed it. It was the quick line-out option after Maya Bosman had put it into touch. Quick throw-in, and then an interchange, and it all ends up Rathbone. I thought he'd tear away. Latham, I think, had the quick throw. Larkham gave it back to him. He's thrown it. Oh, no, it was Rathbone with the quick throw, so he initiated it. Then finally Chisholm, clear run, untouched.
Yeah, nice ball from Scott Fava too at the end. He had some work to do. Very nice from Rathbone, the two Brumbies, and Larkham. Here's the ball on the inside. Fava just had to draw the man and pop it up. Chisholm, 2 tries, 2 weeks, I think.
Oh, that's his 5th in Test match rugby. I'm off the bench tonight for Dan Vickerman. Mortlock will try and add the extra 2.
Now we've got Shepherdson coming from the field, I think also. He's limping pretty badly.
It's a good kick. It's 49 points to 0.
Yep.
South Africa's biggest loss ever in a Test match was 50 points. That's when they lost 53-3 to England at Twickenham in 2002. So an absolute hammering here by the Wallabies over the South Africans, who now have to regroup and head across the Tasman and take on the All Blacks in Wellington next week.
Now Shepherdson has come from the field. Greg Holmes has gone back on the field, so the pushing can be maintained in the scrum.
There's the try scorer, and there's still time for more points here for the Wallabies. Or can the Springboks pick up a consolation? Mortlock. Is he outside the 22? Springboks thought so. Touch judge says no, that's fine.
South African supporter will be very disappointed. There are some great South African players in this team over the years. Durant, but with skills like that, so you're not going to win a Test match.
Get on your feet, goal. Get on your feet, leave it.
Bosman, Habana, another shocking pass, but there's a bit of space here. Back on the inside it goes. Fundenberg straight into the referee.
Forward pass? No. Okay. Was that on number 11 down here, was it?
There's good vision on the inside. Let's see what the...
Did you get a number on that one, Lyndon? I didn't get a number.
Could be a problem here for one of the Wallabies. A late tackle maybe on Brian Habana.
After he passed the ball? Yeah, okay, thank you. Right.
Lote Tuqiri could be in a little bit of strife here. He was reported.
It's against Lote Tuqiri.
Shoulder charge after the pass.
Well, you're never left wondering with Lote, if you're playing against him, you know you're only going to get hit one way, and that's hard. Here's the pass. Yeah, it's fair enough.
So an opportunity here now for South Africa. Is this their last throw of the dice to try and get some points on the board?
Get first, please. Get first, please.
You know, one of their biggest problems is just hanging on to the ball.
Dani could see it with the throw into the line out. Won by Matfield. Cronje has it in 19. This is good work. Now they go to ground. Juan Smith.
Always on the ground, 19. Always playing the ball. Never release this.
Penalty against Phil Waugh. And Dupria. Into touch.
Number 5.
They'll just try and drive it over the line now.
You get to your feet first.
Can they come up with a consolation try? It's been won by the Wallabies. And Chisholm goes to ground. Cordingley waiting for it. Larkham is back there, ready for the kick.
Holmes. One, come out, one goes.
Cordingley into touch.
The Wallabies not out of trouble yet, but it was a beautiful defensive line out from the Wallabies there. I think it was Elsom that they lifted. Holmes and Baxter lifting him.
Inside the final minute. Australia 49, South Africa 0. They go to the back this time. They find Juan Smith.
Wasn't in straight.
It wasn't in straight.
Option goal, scrum or line out. Scrum again.
And the Wallabies will take the scrum. Sign of their renewed confidence.
Yeah, the scrum battle certainly has been won again by South Africa tonight. But the performance is much more controlled by the Wallabies, I thought. Fava controlled the ball at the back of the line, at the back of the scrum quite well.
Wake up. Wake up. Let's reset.
Crowd counting down the seconds here at Suncorp. Wallabies just need to win the scrum and put it into touch.
Don't be surprised if they have a run. No.
Latham. Into touch it goes. And that is a comprehensive victory by the Wallabies. Questions were asked. Could they bounce back from the disappointment of Christchurch and the loss to the All Blacks last week? Well, 7 days is a long time in rugby. Full time, Australia 49, South Africa 0.